it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title of today's video, today we are continuing the Friday the 13th franchise with Friday the 13th Part 2.
Friday the 13th, Part 2.
1981, directed by Steve Miner. So Steve Miner not only directed my favorite Halloween sequel, Halloween H2O, but he also directed my favorite Friday the 13th film. Yes, spoiler for the inevitable ranking, this is my favorite Friday the 13th film. I am giving that away now. There was a small period of time where Part 4 was my favorite. I know that's most people's favorite, the final chapter. And then there was another period where Part 6 was my favorite, and while I still love those films, Part 2 just has a very special place in my heart. This one and the original were just the ones that I watched the most as a kid because we had the VHS tapes. So I always go back to this one being my personal favorite. It has my favorite Jason, it has my favorite kill of the whole franchise, and my favorite final girl. So, can't really beat it. Also, if you didn't watch my Terrifier video, I mentioned in that video that going forward, the reaction part of my videos will be shorter and will be followed by a review of the film. It's really not going to be that much different than how I was already doing things, but just wanted to let you know that it will be slightly different. But yeah, this is still going to be really fun. We're going to talk about all things Friday the 13th Part 2. So let's just get into it, shall we? Yes. The one and only time that Jason was played by a woman. Those legs belong to a woman from the crew, I believe.
Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees.
And yes, of course, the Friday the 13th films love a good recap. We see this in most of the films going forward. I've never really been a fan of the recaps, you know? I've always just been like, let's get to the new stuff. I already know what happened in the last one. I've seen it a million times, but I guess it's nice for people who haven't. You know, a nice little refresher, but sometimes they're just too long. Her whole comforter or bedspread or whatever that is looks so uncomfortable, and also so does her whole outfit. Like, let's take that off, Alice. But yeah, this opening had to have been pretty shocking because we have our final girl from the original getting the axe in the first like 10 minutes, or getting the ice pick, I should say. It's disappointing because I actually liked Alice for the most part. I mean, she sucked at fighting Mrs. Voorhees at the end of that last film. Like, what a joke that was. She literally threw like yarn at her and like a pencil.
What is this, honey?
But she still was likable, for the most part. Hey, Pamela. The cat survived, at least. I mean, it does cut away here, so I guess we don't really know for sure, but I just like to assume that the cat survives. Give me that, at least. I love a Friday the 13th opening credit scene with that Harry Manfredini music just going real hard.
You're all doomed. You're all doomed.
Good old Ralph. I do wish Ralph stuck around for a few more movies, but unfortunately he also meets his end in this one as well. So here we are, just kind of introducing all our new camp counselors and future Jason victims. And similar to the first one, these characters aren't really all that interesting or deep or fleshed out, but they're still unique enough and likable enough, in my opinion. I mean, they're literally just here to hook up and then get murdered, so they don't need to be that deep. I like how she grabs the wrong cheek.
If you're a woman, don't use perfume, and keep clean during your menstrual cycle.
Okay.
Just like kids. Use a little of that child psychology you're majoring in.
Clever foreshadowing.
Next.
I love wheelchair Mark, and I'll gush over it later when it happens, but he has my favorite kill of the entire franchise. It is just all kinds of messed up, but it is amazing. Tom McBride, rest in peace. There was actually a whole documentary about him. I believe it was called Life and Death on the A-List. Very interesting, but very hard to watch.
Oh, God damn it!
Hey, calm down.
Excuse me, Paul. Don't scare the shit out of me and then tell me to calm down. Paul kind of sucks. What are you peeping for, Ralph? Get out of there. Death is around the corner. a shame. That cut from the dog to the hot dogs, the audacity.
Muffin? Here, girl.
Maybe it's just me, but if I couldn't find my dog out there, I'd be f***ing hysterical.
Oh my god.
What is it?
Looks like a dog.
Terrible looking dead dog. I mean, what the hell was that? Oh, our first look at Sackhead Jason. Also, I just adore this ridiculous sequence of this poor bastard galloping through the woods just trying to catch Jason. It goes on for so long. Ouch. That death scene will always remind me of Mr. Garrett's death scene from the original Halloween 2. Both came out in 81 as well. Honestly, the confidence to get butt naked in pitch black to go skinny dipping all by yourself. It almost sounds like it would be fun and like kind of liberating to do that, but not with the threat of a murderer in the woods.
I only want your fingers.
What?
Girl.
What do you want to play for?
Position.
She's adorable. I love her.
It's no longer funny, Scott.
Help!
That's what you get.
I'd have let you hang, you pervert.
You should.
Come on, Tara.
You really should.
Give me. Where is she?
Well, that's not ideal, Scott. That kill I've always thought was like really freaking cool. The upside down throat slit. Now that one, underwhelming. Very underwhelming. I usually don't mind an off-screen kill, but that needed more.
I mean, I doubt Jason would have even known the meaning of death. Or at least until that horrible night. He must have seen the whole thing happen.
She's all of us today, discussing our favorite horror movie villains in depth on the internet.
What do you think?
I think
you're drunk. Oh no. Not this. The infamous brown panties. It was the times. Yeah. Okay, my favorite scene. I love this so much. It's the rolling down the stairs part for me. Just gets slammed in the face with a machete and then rolls down the stairs. Just the disrespect. It's just my favorite kill scene. I love the build up to it. I love the shock of it, the audacity of it. Also, this kill and then the next kill, two kills that are very similar. I'm assuming inspired by Mario Bava's A Bay of Blood. If you've seen A Bay of Blood, then you know what I'm referring to. Very similar, but both fantastic. And this is the other kill scene, very much A Bay of Blood inspired. There's a similar scene in that film with a couple getting impaled. Awesome death scene. I love a good 2-for-1. Also, like a majority of the kills from this franchise, it was heavily edited, and the uncut footage, as I'm sure you guys know by now, is available to watch on the Scream Factory Friday the 13th Blu-ray set. Highly recommend checking out the uncut footage from Sandra and Jeff's death scene. It is awesome. I wish it could have made it into the film, but alas.
Sandra.
Our first up-close look at Sackhead Jason, my favorite Jason. You had a lot of time to run, sweetie. Like a lot of time, but okay.
What is this, a joke?
They wouldn't do anything like this.
similar to the first one where they find the bloody axe in the bed. If you see this, you run. Like, ideally, you would know this isn't a prank. Unless you're with a bunch of pranksters, which in this movie, and I guess a little bit in the first one with Ned, I can understand why they might question it being a prank. But I love how Ginny is instantly like, no, something's wrong, we need to get out of here. But freaking Paul is just immediately in denial, like, no, everything's fine. It's fake blood or somebody got their period. He's thinking, I told these damn women to keep clean during their menstrual cycles because of those damn bears.
Paul, there's someone in this room.
This scene is so damn creepy. Honestly, him up, Jason. I'm on Jason's side here. This is such a great little scare. Aww. Rest in peace, King. Ooh, right in the nuts. She really kicks ass here. But also, it's just so interesting seeing Jason in this film as opposed to how he is in the later films, where he's literally a superhuman zombie. There's still this element here of him being human and just kind of clumsy. That is like one of the main reasons why he's so much scarier to me in this one as opposed to the other ones. That is such a scary shot. That shot of him running towards the shack behind Ginny, like through the window, that is probably like the scariest shot of the franchise. It's just always stuck with me.
Jason! It's all done, Jason.
Do your thing, girl. Use a little bit of that child psychology you're majoring in.
Jason, Mother is talking to you!
I just can't believe she put on that sweater. Ugh.
Ginny!
God damn it, Paul. Well, I guess he did save her ass a little bit here. Atta girl. Nothing. Aw. It's like, I ain't dead, bitches. There it is. Oh, he looks like a completely different guy from the other angle. Completely different person. But yeah, kind of following the original's footsteps with that last Jason jump scare. I ain't mad at it. And so relieved that they didn't end with her eyes actually opening, which I believe was like the original idea. Like, could you imagine? I mean, I guess it kind of sounds like it would be creepy, but that would have looked so dumb. Okay, you guys, just finished Friday the 13th Part 2. Always a blast rewatching that one. Definitely not without its flaws. I mean, none of them are, but like I said earlier, my personal favorite of the entire franchise. So delving in a little bit deeper into this gem plot-wise, it's really not all that different from the original Friday the 13th. We have our sexy teen camp counselors near Crystal Lake trying to get laid. Some succeed at that, some don't, but everyone pretty much succeeds at getting murdered by Jason. But we have our typical Friday the 13th formula. You know the one. Like I mentioned earlier, even though our characters here aren't necessarily deep or fleshed out or anything, I still think I like them a little bit more than the original's characters. They're just a little funnier, you know, there's a little more humor here and there. There's a little bit more fun to be had with their little shenanigans. I actually know quite a few actors from this, from other horror films, like Russell Todd, who plays Scott, is in Chopping Mall. I recognize Stuart Charno, who plays Ted from Christine, and Marta Kober, who plays Sandra, has a small part in Slumber Party Massacre 3. And of course, Amy Steele, who plays Jenny, is in April Fool's Day, so that's a lot of fun. But yeah, character-wise, similar to the first one, but the characters in this one are a little bit more unique and memorable, which brings me to our final girl here, Ginny. I mean, Ginny just steals the show for me. She is my favorite final girl of the entire Friday the 13th franchise. And this franchise has some pretty great final girls, but she takes the cake. She's charming, she's down to earth, she's thoughtful, she's more aware of her surroundings than everyone else, and she takes on Jason not only physically, but psychologically. She is extremely resourceful and just clever with her approach at pretending to be Pamela to kind of overpower Jason. She wasn't gonna let that child psychology major go to waste, that's for sure. But yeah, Ginny's great. Ginny's iconic, will always be one of my favorite final girls in horror history. So now let's talk about the man behind the mask, or the man behind the burlap sack, I should say, Jason Voorhees. So this is our first film where we actually have Jason as the killer. And of course, he doesn't have his famous hockey mask yet. We all know he gets that in the next one, in part 3. And listen, this might sound insane to some people, but like I mentioned earlier, this is my favorite Jason. It always has been, and it probably always will, and I'll try to explain why. Comparing this Jason to the zombie superhuman Jason from the later entries, he actually still feels very human here. He stumbles, he's clumsy, he runs, which he kind of doesn't run in the later entries, he just kind of walks. He wears his pillowcase over his head with the little eye hole, very much inspired by The Town That Dreaded Sundown. He's got the plaid shirt with the overalls. He just kind of feels like this psychotic hillbilly killer with the pitchfork that you would stumble upon deep in the woods where you shouldn't be. And that human element is scarier to me than hockey mask zombie Jason. Although, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be thrilled to stumble upon that Jason either. But I've always felt this way. Yes, of course, the hockey mask is iconic now, and understandably so. But Sackhead Jason from part 2 will always be my favorite Jason. Let's talk about the kills. So the kills, while I love them for the most part, just as with most Friday the 13th films, they're just heavily cut, heavily edited, heavily censored. I mean, they're good kills, but they always just seem to cut way too early. So Tom Savini did not return to do the effects for this film. He chose to do effects for the burning instead. So Carl Fullerton actually did the effects for this film. And it's a shame because I really do feel like we got some great kills in this film, and just all that great special effects work just couldn't be showcased because it was heavily censored. And also, like I mentioned earlier, definitely check out the uncut footage, especially for the double impalement scene from this film. It's awesome. It is just like a couple of seconds longer, but man, it like really makes a difference. Such a shame that wasn't included in the film, but okay, I digress. And like I mentioned, a few of the kills very reminiscent to A Bay of Blood by Mario Bava, which I personally think is cool. But yeah, not sure who, but someone on that set definitely saw A Bay of Blood. And Mark's death is my favorite of the whole franchise. Literally the cruelest death, with him not only getting the machete to the face, but then rolling down the stairs in the wheelchair. Like, they didn't have to go that far, but they did. And I love it. So to conclude this review, I'll just end by saying extremely entertaining sequel that I feel surpasses the original and all of the succeeding sequels as well. My favorite Jason of the whole franchise, my favorite final girl of the whole franchise, and it has my favorite kill of the whole franchise. I'll never not want to rewatch this one. Like, there are some Friday the 13th films that I just like don't care to rewatch that often, but this one just has it all for me. I adored it as a child and I still adore it to this day. So yeah, you guys, that was my reaction and review of Friday the 13th Part 2. What are your thoughts on Part 2? Let me know in the comments below. I'm very excited to be continuing this franchise on my channel. Looking forward to doing Part 3. Now that's kind of a strange one for sure. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.